Okay, we are continuing with our sharing is caring concept here on YouTube because, basically I thought you'd heard enough from me, so I invited some friends. Adrian's here, he's a doctor, plant-based. Jenny's here, she's married to Adrian, she's a nurse, plant-based. And Kirsty's here, she's a writer, and she's growing a little plant-based person in there. And we're just having a little chat about all things plant-based, obviously, because that's the common theme here. But if you haven't seen the previous 2 episodes, go back and check those out first, because otherwise my next question is going to come out of seemingly nowhere. So, what is the first piece of advice that you would give somebody who came to you and said, yeah, you know what, this plant-based thing, I'd like to give it a go? Okay, you talked too long. Jen.
I would say yes. Give it a go.
Give it a go.
The food, it's all about the amazing food. So you've probably already eat some plant-based foods anyway, hopefully.
Yeah.
But you can expand that. There's just so much wonderful food, wonderful recipes, websites, books. And then to back up that decision to eat more plants, get some information.
Yeah.
Get some good evidence-based information from really good websites.
What's something that you would recommend as a website?
I would probably go straight to nutritionfacts.org.
Oh yeah, that
Dr.
is an
Michael
excellent
Greger.
one. Yeah.
Fun, presentation of facts. All the facts are there, all the sources are cited, all the evidence is there.
Yeah.
And all the science nerds like me can actually look at the references and
go
to the links and actually look at the studies. Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you like that website as well, right?
Love it.
Okay. But what other advice could you give as that first point when somebody's saying, yeah, I really want to know more, but you don't want to, send them off to watch Earthlings or something, do you? Because that's just going to...
You would tell them to watch What the Health first.
I think that's brilliant. I do
That's
that
a good
all the time.
intro. That's a very good one. I've had a few friends go plant-based after watching What the Health.
Yeah.
I just say do your own research too. Like once you watch one thing, it's again a snowball effect. You
It does kind of
keep
lead on.
You just keep going and finding out your own information and make your own decisions.
Yeah.
And forks over knives as
Yeah,
well, of
that
course.
one.
Yeah, that's
That was-
excellent.
Yeah.
And you guys have also mentioned Colin Campbell's China study,
study.
but Wholefood is brilliant. Like that's just an extraordinary
Yes,
book
that's
as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And we all did that course, didn't we?
did.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's an incredible course through Cornell University in the States. You do it online. None of us travelled there,
No.
although that would have been
Unfortunately.
really
Good.
cool.
How cool.
But you can do that online, and I'll make sure that the details are in the comments section because, that was amazing.
Great course.
That was so good.
And the beauty of that course is it didn't only cover plant-based nutrition, of course, it was also talked about the environmental impact.
Yeah.
And there's also a part when it relates to animal cruelty. Part of the course was about the ocean and the dead zones.
See,
Particularly
I
the
thought
Gulf
I
of
was going to
Mexico.
hate that, and I loved that lecture. That was amazing, the way that Professor of Oceanology just pulled all of the information together with the impact of what you have on the end of your fork and what that does
And
worldwide.
I was quite stunned at the number of species in the last 100 years that are now extinct or critically endangered.
Yeah. Yeah, it's horrifying,
particularly
isn't
the
it?
fish.
Yeah.
That was just mind-blowing.
The thing is, you can't debate the environmental impact.
No.
There's no argument for
No.
being a meat eater or a dairy consumer and saving the environment.
Yeah.
It's a no-go zone. Any
right.
professional you talk to will tell you that it's far more sustainable to be plant-based.
Yeah, totally.
And when people ask me, they say, well, how did you do it? And I say, I'm married to Jenny. And Jenny can cook and turn any vegetable or plants into a gourmet meal
It's true.
without trying that hard.
Look,
But-
even the things that don't work out are still beautiful if you start with whole plant foods.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, I did an experiment and took my cholesterol after being completely plant-based for about 3 months, and it had dropped by over 25%.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, that's
Some merit in this.
That's evidence. In my clinical trial where n equals 1, that's another science joke, sorry. It was a 26% decrease in cholesterol.
In 3 months.
3 months.
Wow.
Probably less.
It was probably less than 3
That's
months,
when you
but
did
it
the
was
blood
3
test.
months apart with the blood tests. So when my patients ask me, I tell them that, and they also can see that I'm in the healthy weight range, I'm happy,
Yeah.
and I remind them, you've got more nervous tissue in your gut than in your brain virtually. And so,
In regards to serotonin.
serotonin, then of course you feel better, you sleep better, which means you then feel better, and it just goes from
More
there.
energy.
Energy, yeah.
And Adrian, did you want to share with everyone how you get the red-blooded Aussie blokes to understand what a plant-based diet might offer them as a benefit?
Well, we talk about the canary in the coal mine. Often what we mean by that is you've got often middle-aged males who are starting to get a bit short of breath, they might have had some chest pain, and we think, oh, your coronary arteries might be starting to clog up. But then I remind them, guess what a much smaller artery which is going to clog up before that is? And it's that one down there. So we talk about the so-called survival of the firmest. And they actually look at you sideways and they actually realise what you're talking about when you use cliches like that and the canary in the coal mine.
Sure.
Which people of our vintage knows what that means, but
understand,
last
it's okay.
century when we used to mine coal,
I get it.
you get it.
Look,
So-
she's a little canary. Look at
Oh,
what she's
that's
doing.
sweet. Yeah, she's yellow, yeah. So we talk a little bit about that and the impact that if you clog off the smallest artery,
Yep.
it's not going to work.
So all of a sudden, all jokes aside, obviously,
Yeah.
we're having a little bit of a laugh at this, but all jokes aside, that is an indication that something
Yeah.
of a greater scheme is not going on.
That's often an early sign that things are not all
Yeah,
well.
as they should be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
right.
that's the beauty of eating a healthy diet, isn't it? That you don't just look after your heart or your kidneys or your
Yeah.
brain. Your whole body and every system
Yeah.
is healthier.
It's not reductionist.
That's
No,
right.
It's
no.
exactly the opposite.
It's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's whole. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, if just to change tracked a little bit here. So, we've all been plant-based for a while now. This answer probably would have been different from when you first went plant-based to the experiences that have accumulated up until now. But what surprised you the most about being plant-based? This can be anything. Like, it doesn't need to be, you've got a grin on your face, dying to know what you're going to say.
How much I can eat.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's
So
right.
much, and
Yeah.
it just, nothing changes.
Yeah.
Like I said, if anything, I lost weight to begin with, and I toned, and I just got super fit. But I just eat so much, but I never ever worry about it because I know that it's good food.
Yeah.
I don't have to stress about it. I just love that because I love food.
Yeah, sure.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And it's the opposite of dieting, right?
Yeah.
You're not-
Instead of
I've
this.
never had a,
we don't-
I've never
we
been on
don't
a diet.
diet.
No.
Yeah.
I would say it's, and I thought about this the other day, it's a joyous way of living.
Yeah,
I feel
for
happier.
sure. Yeah.
And part of it maybe is because I can eat all this amazing food, the colours, the textures, the flavours.
And, growing the food too.
That's
Yeah.
that's
beautiful
what I
thing.
love.
Yeah.
But
Picking
just
your own
that,
food.
it's a joy. It's
Yeah.
a joyous way to live and feel so good and happier. We've talked about
we've
that.
talked
haven't
about that, and I think it's partly of the absolutely beautiful food that we're eating, but also I'm sure it's a serotonin or happy hormone effect that I feel happier, and
You're less stressed a lot of the time too.
even though I've got more than one full-time equivalent job,
I know, but
and
you're still
I seem to cram it in.
yeah. But you're
and
generally happy
happier.
every day.
Because you've
Yeah.
got the energy for it.
I've got
That's
more,
right, more
and I've got
energy.
more emotional energy, and I'm pretty sure a lot of it relates to what I eat. And then as we're eating more and more plants, you obviously have to think about the animals that are not suffering for you to feel happy.
Yeah.
And
So you guys
it
kind
just
of
happens.
came into it, a little bit more like me, like from that animal aspect,
Ethical.
but you came in from it
Very
from
much
your
from
own
the
health.
Health.
So, all roads lead to a really good place. It doesn't
That's
matter
right.
which way you want to access plant-based
Yeah.
eating, but what's changed in that, or what did change for you so that all of a sudden you were thinking about animals, or maybe you were thinking more about your own health?
I think it actually came naturally as also as we watched more and more
Yeah, it's watching
videos
stuff,
and
isn't it?
And
Yeah.
that wonderful Melanie Joy who talked about carnism.
Oh, that's a great TED
That's
talk.
a
We'll have that in the
beautiful-
comments.
It's a TED talk, and it's also an animation. She's a psychology professor who talked about meat. That's normal. I'm trying to do her American accent.
I see.
Normal, natural, and necessary. Just like 150 years ago, slavery.
Yeah.
It's
Normal, natural, necessary.
and homophobia
Yeah.
and lack of women's rights.
Yeah.
That's just how it was.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful argument.
Yes.
She's very eloquent, isn't
Eloquent.
she?
But there's a TED Talk version and of course the animated version. But if you don't like animated animals being damaged,
Yeah,
you
I'll
miss
watch that
between 1 and 4 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, but watch it otherwise.
Yeah, right. Jenny, what kind of worked along the lines to go from your health to thinking about animals?
No, I think just perhaps doing that course and
Yeah.
just seeing that link. And because those things are so bound together, you can't look at one without the other.
Yeah.
And I think now the environmental impact of what we eat, for me, is almost maybe even the bigger reason.
Yeah.
Because health is just a given.
Yeah.
The experience is so well lived and feeling so good that if people ask me now, sometimes it's easier to say, it's more environmentally sustainable to eat this way. And
It's a good
it's
soft
a very simple
edge, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And everyone can relate to it. So it doesn't make people feel like you're having a go at them.
That's
because
right.
I know that some people say, oh yeah, but vegans, they're so judgy. Like they just judge you for anything. And I'm like, well, no, I don't know if it's necessarily judgment. It's probably just knowing different information and applying it. Once you overlay that, you think differently, right?
And I have to say that it was probably our son Peter. I heard him say one evening at a restaurant to a waitress when she asked, why do you choose to eat plant-based?
Did she ask him that?
Yes.
Interesting.
I'm not sure if he actually knew her or not. But anyway, he just simply said, it's more environmentally sustainable.
Yeah.
And she just went, yes. And that was it. That was the end. And that's a lovely sort of way to manage it in a restaurant situation
Yeah.
with dinner guests.
Well done, Pete.
So thanks, Pete.
Yeah.
Good on you. Kirsty, what happened with you?
I think it was a point of necessity.
Yeah,
So
okay.
the animal thing was a given for me, but a lot of people don't necessarily come to that same conclusion. They don't
Yeah, it just
believe in
doesn't
animal
rate.
cruelty, or
Yeah.
they're raised in it with a different belief. So it's a really hard sell. It's
Yeah.
a really hard push to talk about that. So I needed to arm myself with facts. So I did the research, and then I learned all the science behind it and the health benefits. And obviously I was healthy, so that was case in point.
Yeah.
And then the environmental stuff came after that. So yeah, I just had to, because I was getting bombarded
Yeah.
from everywhere. So
Yeah, that
that's the
comes.
only way that people will listen, if you can give them solid facts. So
Yeah, I'm just trying to be kind, man. Back off.
I just don't want to hurt animals, but not good enough.
Not good enough. Okay, I have to ask it. Where do you get your protein? But before you answer me, we're going to have a little break, because next week you're going to hear where plant-based eaters actually do get their protein from. We need tea.